in the making. 2 knockdowns in this fight for Ngannou. We saw much improved wrestling ability from Ngannou. There's a new champion atop the UFC, and his name is Francis Ngannou. And what a performance we saw here in the main event at UFC 260.
All right, let us kick things off today with a man who really needs no introduction. There he is, the baddest man on the planet, the brand new, undisputed UFC heavyweight champion, Le Prédateur himself, the pride of Cameroon and France, the one and only Francis Ngannou. You laughed when I said baddest man on the planet. Why'd you laugh, Francis?
Well, you sound like some specimen, not like a person.
Well, I think you are a person and a specimen based on what we saw this past Saturday and in your last few fights. You know, I've said this to you over the last few years after you picked up a big win, but I want to say now because it probably is most apropos now. Félicitations, mon ami. It's a big deal that you're the heavyweight champion of the world. And I'm just wondering, what have the last 3 or so days been like for you? Like, are you on cloud 9? Can you even describe what the feeling has been like since Saturday night?
No, not really. I think I haven't been able to really understand and collect my emotions, you know, but I just feel like relief of this pressure and everything and happy, you know. I just wake up, even though I can't really sleep, I don't care. I'm not tomorrow morning. I have nothing to do other than talk to Ariel, Helwani and his crew and all those things. So it's way more easier to do, you know. So just happy about that. But listen, but from what I know, this is something that I have been waiting for a very long time. This special moment, and I don't know why I don't really feel it. I mean, I feel happy, but I don't feel any different, you know, which is crazy. Maybe it's gonna happen at some time, but it's okay. It's great. It's good.
So I'm sure you've been dreaming of this moment for a while, what it would feel like to be the heavyweight champion of the world. Exactly. And are you saying now it's not really equaling what you thought it was going to feel like, at least early on?
No, because I didn't know how it's gonna feel. You know, I always been like, okay, how did that gonna feel? You know, yeah, of course you want it to happen. So then what? If it happened, then what? What would it gonna be? You know, and obviously, it's just one step. I'm very happy about it. I can't say any less. I feel very satisfied about this because this has been a dream for decades, not to become a UFC heavyweight champion, but to become a world champion in the combat sport. But now here we are, and it was just funny because Saturday night, I felt like, well, it was one step down. You don't have even a time. You don't even have to take a time. No, not like, but it was just one chapter, the end of one chapter, and you have to keep going with another chapter. You know, I deal with the past. I do this for fulfill some empty hole in my past, and that's how I always felt like being a heavyweight champion gonna make me legit, as much legit as a man can be, you know, so I can let go the can equal or let go that frustration that I always had as a kid. But now I am, you know, as such as a man as anyone else, but at least I knocked that out, you know, I knocked the past out. I take my revenge on the life. I mean, that's my own approach of it.
So do you feel in some respects, Francis, like you have been dealt a bad hand, you had to overcome so much in life, and this is maybe for the first time, you winning, you telling life, you didn't beat me, I beat you in the end, I'm better than you, I'm able to overcome everything that you threw my way?
Yeah, because like life in general, but mostly like my childhood, because that's like one of the saddest moment in my life. You know, being an adult and being having a hard time is something that you can deal with because you're responsible, you're tough enough, you're a grown man, you can deal with that. But as a kid, I think a kid doesn't just a normal kid doesn't deserve something, you know, because he hasn't done anything and he hasn't had enough maturity to be responsible of himself, and that's why parents take care of kids. So I don't complain about what happened in my life, you know, obviously because that would helped me being where I recognize that without that I wouldn't be here, but that doesn't make me any less unhappy with my childhood, and which was the moment that I set up this goal. I remember like my vision of becoming a world champion was my own way to step on the stage and then prove those people that was treating me as a piece of that was treating me that I was beneath them. That is not the case. They was treating me as I'm worthless. That is not the case, you know. So then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna prove this kid that they're wrong. You know, I'm just a kid that didn't have a chance to have a parent who can afford what I need, you know, in order to have a normal childhood, at least like a school notebook at school, whether it's a pen or a scholarship or whatever was that, or a clothes, shoes, you know. So then I'm like, I'm gonna prove them wrong. You know, the less that I have, I work hard for that, and in that any of them, they don't know the taste of hard work. You know, they don't know the value of hard work. I earn what I have, but then they just get what they have, you know. So I'm like, I'm gonna prove them wrong. But at that point, to prove them wrong, it wasn't like doing something normal, or it wouldn't be enough. You know, I have to like be in the stage that everybody gonna look up and see me. And I always think being a world champion would be that main stage, and here we are. So I feel like I'm done with that. I have deal with that.
When you think about your childhood, Francis, is there one moment that symbolizes that pain or that disappointment, that sadness that you are speaking about here? Because you speak about it in very profound and deep terms. Is there it's crazy when we're kids and when we become adults. Like I remember something from when I was 5 years old. I don't remember anything else, but I remember one day where I was very upset. Do you have moments like that you can remember even if you were a very young boy?
Yeah, I remember a lot of it, a lot. Um, I remember after my parents get divorced, I was 6, and then I went to my aunt, and from there on, even before that, I still remember many things. But from there on, I remember a lot, almost everything. And I think that which is which would get me upset. Those stuff would get me upset, but at the meantime, which is the thing that has always been the fire in me, pushing me forward, you know, this being my drive, my motivation at the meantime, because like, think about it, like being really upset about it, piece of want to take a revenge, you know. So I truly remember a lot about everything. Basically, some of those things was I was 10 years old, you know, going to school, going to middle school. I remember all of them, all the frustration, you know, all the time that I've been in school, and then couldn't they had to take me out in the classroom because I didn't have maybe just a single pen to take note. Sometimes just a book. Sometimes I haven't paid a scholar fee. Uh, all those stuff, you know, over and over and over. And then at some point, I just get upset about it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this differently. I'm gonna prove this wrong. It's not my fault. That yeah.
When you see the video of the people in your hometown in Cameroon celebrating, I'm sure you've seen the video of them watching you at night. What comes to mind? What do you feel when you see that?
Well, guess what? I used to see that video because, like, in the past few years, every time that I fight, they they stay up all night waiting for me to fight, uh, cheering for me, supporting me. Get very excited, and to be honest, I'm very happy. I feel blessed about that to be from where I was to become like the source of happiness of some people and even of motivation for some other. And I mean, it's such a great thing that happened. Not in that many people don't have a chance to experience in their lifetime. And I think it's the best thing that is happened is in my life that I take out of it. I just have experienced that very unique experience that few people uh, will have a chance to have in their lifetime.
I'm sure a lot of people have reached out to you over the last few days. Is there one message, one conversation that sticks out that really touched you over the last few days? Someone wrote something to you or called you and said something. Is there something that kind of stands above the rest?
Some few, so yeah, I mean, not just one. I have some few. You get some people that really care for you, call you, and then express feelings, their happiness, how proud they are. People who truly matter for you, people that maybe you growing up, you've been seeing them as a model, or like my uncles, who for me stand as an example of a human being. When you get some people that you truly respect, look, tell you that I'm proud of you. I mean, you always get happy for that. Like, this guy, you say, okay, coming from him, that means do something, I have done something right. Because you can be a grown-ass man, but you still have this thing that you still have this little thing that you always have as a kid. You still have this way of seeing some people that impacted your life, which is like some people that they might not even notice them sometimes, but you know how in the bottom of your heart, how much respect you have for them, because growing up you've been seeing their way of doing things and wish like, where if I could uh, if I would become a man like this guy, because I love how he handled things. I love how he take care of family. I love how nice he is. I love how this is, and yeah, of course. And someday you just say like, just hit you up and sometimes touch base and get to some point that he said, well, you make us happy, you make us proud. There's even yesterday I was talking to this dad in my village. It's like a symbol of success, not only in my village, but in Cameroon. And he's a very, very relaxed guy. He's really very humble. And I was talking for him. He's a guy that you never really see him very excited. And I felt the happiness on how happy he was on his voice and say those things to me. I was happy, like,
Wow.
for real. Like, so to my mom she couldn't even talk, just laughing, big smile all the way to her ear, you know. Yeah, those stuff, they are they are priceless.
I can't imagine what it would be like when you go back home. Do you have any plans of going back home soon?
I'm gonna go back home, but I have to stay here, put my life in order,
Yeah.
get some stuff done, take care of business, put everything in order before we go back home.
when people were celebrating you this past weekend, they were talking about your long journey and where you've come from, and that's very appropriate. But I couldn't help but think of Francis Ngannou in 2018. Francis, when you fought Stipe and you lost that fight, I felt like you were treated unfairly. I felt like unfair things were said about you. And then you go out and fight Derek Lewis and you're booed out of the T-Mobile Arena. And it seemed like everyone was very quick to say, maybe Francis wasn't who we thought he was going to be. That man in July of 2018, would he have believed that it would have all played out like this? Like, did you still feel, or was your confidence gone that you didn't think that maybe you would ever get to this point?
I remember I had an interview with you at that moment. And if you remember as well, I told you I still believe that. I never, and this is the thing, that might be a flaw or a good thing, I don't know, but I never doubt about it. Even sometimes like stuff, I don't know how it's gonna happen, but at least the believing has always been there, and which is the good thing because I never give up, which 2018 was a rough year for me, but guess what? I've been through worse than that. It wasn't nothing surprising. My whole life has been like that, doubting me, thinking that I can do anything. And I always it's not like I like that moment, but a moment like that make a moment like this even better because, you feel like you overcome something. Honestly, I would have liked to win a title in 2018, but believe me, I'm not sure if you would have the same feeling. It wouldn't be the same thing as right now. And what I'm also sure, I always think and almost always sure about it was like, even if that fight would have been different and I became a winner, a champion that night, I think my downfall wouldn't be very far away,
Really?
because wasn't just ready, wasn't just the right time. That fight was, I think, the way that the fight went was the perfect thing that I needed at that time. Not what I wanted, but what I needed in order to grow up. And I never feel like I lost that fight. I didn't have the outcome, but I win that fight. And I say it at the press conference. I'm like, this night I learned a lot about the sport, and I have to learn in the past 4 years in this sport. And yeah, that fight built me up.
And so when you found out that Stipe weighed in 12 pounds lighter than he did when you fought in 2018, did you think that was a mistake? Did you think that was a good thing for you?
No, I wanted him to get heavier. I know that I saw him fight in DC no long ago in August, and I know that that is an advantage. By the way, I've been trying to cut weight, even though couldn't get any better than what I did, but wanted to get like my cardio and my speed on point and everything. But I do have a chef, a nutritionist for like the past 6 or 7 weeks, and just be very disciplined on what I'm eating or how I'm doing things, very organized. Couldn't get any lighter, but trying so hard because for me that was a very asset when it comes to like speed and cardio and everything. I know that even if I lose 30 pounds, I will still have enough power to handle the fight. So I don't care about my weight or being stronger anymore. The only thing that I care about is like my fight IQ and how to be able to manage a fight moving forward.
So you stuffed that takedown. The fight is going well. You're showing the full arsenal, the kicks, the punches, of course, but then the takedown was big. What is going through your mind when it's working out in your favor, that he's unable to get you to the ground, that you stuff him, you sprawl? Like I would imagine your confidence starts to grow a little more, right?
Um, he should have. That specific, I didn't feel anything because like what happened at that moment was like he just remind me the same thing that I've been, the same position that I have been through during my training camp, even before my training camp, during the process of preparation. Is just remind me such those great moments with wrestling over and over and over and over. I've been in this situation so many times in the past year, just to develop my skill, just to develop my reflex and to work on my wrestling and everything. So I was there. And to be honest, I was even thinking about to take him down. I'm like very confident about my wrestling, but and my grappling, but didn't want to be the one being taken down, even though I believe that I could handle that. But was like, okay, if we have to go down, it has to be on my term, So that was the plan, and I was very confident about that. So yeah, I we had I think we had a best training camp. We had like so far the best training camp, and like for the first time, I didn't just train to win. I was training to like really, I was enjoying, not like striking, not like boxing. Obviously, I love boxing and all these things, but like I I started to enjoy like being a martial artist, like just now, like either way. Like sometimes I'm just in the gyms, sparring with partners, with teammates, whether it's wrestling or whether wrestler or striker, and so shoot it down, take him down, let's go in the ground, even though knowing that it's not my comfort zone, it might be his comfort zone, and always want to be in the being put in the uncomfortable position. So I have to try to develop my skills to get out in those situations that you don't like to be there. So I just feel like I'm becoming a mixed martial artist.
That's the scary part about you. It still feels like you're scratching the surface. I made this analogy on Monday. I feel like you're the closest thing the UFC has ever had to Mike Tyson, because you have that power. You're an intimidating presence. But yet when Mike Tyson became champion, it felt like, all right, this is Mike Tyson, the finished product. With you, it still feels like you have so much more to do and to improve on. Like you're just sort of beginning. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely, and that's exactly what how I feel like, and that like, okay, I'm like, okay, if I keep working like this in the next 2-3 years, where would I be? I will be very far skill wise. I didn't grow up doing a sport, being an athlete, so I didn't before MMA. I didn't have any sport experience. Um, Most of those people has been doing it for their entire life, so they just have this last gap to go. My own gap, my own way to go is very big. My own space of improvement is very big, and I'm just excited to like get into that and to see the outcome of that, to see uh, uh, what I will become in the next 3 years, 2-3 years. I think it's gonna be something amazing as a fight, IQ.
Now, were you tired going into the second round? Because it was noted on the broadcast, and I noticed it a little bit. Your mouth was open. It did seem like you were breathing out of your mouth, that maybe you were getting tired. Were you tired at all?
I always breathe out of my mind, out
Okay.
of my mind.
Okay.
Yeah. No, look at my body language. Like
Yeah.
even I stood up. I stood up like 10 minutes before the second round. My coaches, they say, "How you feel?" I was good. Then I'm like, stood up, give him the message. I stood up. I was bouncing. I feel good. I'm like, okay, get warmed up. Let's go. Hey, listen. I know exactly. I know exactly what happened in 2018, and this time I do everything that it takes not to let that happen anymore. 2018, it was a whole mess. The training camp wasn't good. I can't even consider what I had at the training camp. Did I have a training camp in 2018? No. I was out there in the short, I think it was 5, 6 weeks, doing the deal, handling this, doing this promotion all the time. Sometimes I was out here in Vegas, like filming for promotion stuff until like 1 a.m. in the morning. Travel from, it was just a whole mess, a whole mess. Like this time, I'm like, okay, uh, we're gonna do things different. It has to be time. We have to take time, and if there's stuff to do, we have to spread it over the time.
Mm-hmm.
Don't squeeze me. I don't want to feel squeezed. I want to have time. I want to give myself a chance to get better, to get there in shape. I might not be, but I don't want somebody to be like an excuse. Let me give my fully be present, So, and that's how we make it.
Last thing on the fight, did he hurt you at any point?
Yeah, I mean, just before he get caught, he countered me with his right hand, and I'm like, damn, at that specific moment, because we've been watching this his tape, and his Stipe best punch is always the back forward right hand, and when he hit me with that, I'm like, damn, you're doing something wrong. I'm like, oh, you're doing something wrong. Don't rush. Don't go in the wall. So I was stopping, and then I stopped. Like, okay, reset. Then he just came forward that time. I'm like, okay, so it's coming toward. I was set. I was calm, and I think that's where he get exposed. But yeah, he touched me with that punch. But I mean, I felt it, but didn't. Yeah, I felt it. It hurts, but I wasn't hurt, like couldn't feel nothing. No, I just like, okay, don't rush, because the whole thing, hey man, this whole training camp, this whole fight was based about how I gonna control my temper in the octagon. So it was all about like how to calm myself down, how to relax, how to be able to reset everything, not to rush, not just to go there to hit him. Yes, you might hit him. He's good at it. He's tough. He might take punch and don't doesn't go down. It's okay. You have a time. You have enough of tools in your bag to just pick him apart over the time. You might get it. If not, we can just win the fight. Take first round. Make sure you get that one. Take the second round. Maybe the third round. Trying to take a breath, like breathe, just control this octagon. Fourth round, go out there. If he has to go to the decision, make it perfect, flawless. And that was the whole idea. Just like, okay, my best is the best comes out of me when I'm relaxed and just focused, not aggressive, not just like going there to cut somebody in the head.
And so the crazy thing is, you beat the most successful heavyweight champion of all time. You knock him out. It's incredible. You finally get the gold. And then a second later, we're talking about the next one, and it's Jon Jones, and he's tweeting, and it almost feels like deja vu of last year. And he's saying, cut me, and all this stuff and all this drama. How do you feel about what's happened over the last couple of days? How do you feel about this whole Jon Jones situation?
Well, I don't know what exactly is happening between Jon Jones and the USA, but I think there is something wrong, and I also think he's handled it maybe a little in the wrong way, but I don't know what's happening. Listen, that's not my business. There's a lot of contender ready to fight, and there's a lot of fight here. For the first time, I'm the man who making the call. I don't have to sit down and wait for people. They are waiting for me, and I'm ready. I can choose to fight, and I want to fight maybe 2 times this year. So I hope that fight happen. I would love to fight. If not, moving on. As I said, I'm ready to fight in the summer, maybe in August, so I can still fight in December. Let's go. Derek Lewis is there, and I think this we have this fight that never really happened, and we have to give the fan what they deserve.
If it was up to you, though, your top choice, would it be Jon Jones?
Yeah. If it was up to me, yes, Jon Jones is a good one. Just take the best heavyweight of all the time out, then take the pound of pound, guy, the number 1 pound of pound guy out. He'll be great in the resume. He'll look good.
Do you think he wants to fight you?
I think he will. I don't know. I think he want to take some challenge, but I think he is at some point of his career that he wants his big payday. Makes sense. You can argue nothing with that. He deserve it. He built it. He's the greatest, the number 1 pound for pound guy. Been there for so long. So you can't deny anything in this sport to Jon Jones. So, and he has been to war, and he has this experience. I think, yeah, he would like. At some point, he might need something more exciting, because I think like maybe fighting in the division that he's always win, maybe he has to try something else, or set up a different goal, a different goal, and that goal cross a path with me.
In other words, do you think he says, "Show me the money," and tweets all this stuff if Stipe wins?
Yeah.
Same thing. Has nothing to do with you. It's more about the money that he wants to make by moving up.
Same thing, because I remember before the fight, all the narrative was about Jon Jones going to be fighting the winner of this fight, whether it's Francis or Stipe. And even Dana was talking about it. And there was even talking about, like, if you want to come, yes, it would be great to have him in the arena and all these things. So I believe so. I think there were some talk, but at some point, something might went wrong. I don't know what is that. And once again, it's their business.
And I'm just curious because a lot has been said about him wanting to get paid more and all this stuff. But what about you, Francis? You're the champ now. Like, is it just a matter of, all right, Francis, here's your next fight, or are there talks that need to happen for you because you're the champ now?
Well, I want to get paid more, obviously, if that's the question. I think everybody pay more. I want a good term for that fight. I want it to be in a good term, in my favor, or at least with more benefit. But listen, I'm in the contract. I have to fight. I don't want to. I think the best is to come. My future is just there. I have a big space to take everything that I want.
In your heart, what do you think happens? Who's your next fight against?
I can't really tell. You never know what's going on with the UFC until it happens. Can't tell. So don't even by thinking what's going to happen or expecting. Just let it happen. Just let it happen randomly and surprise you. So yeah. Whatever happened, I'm down for. I just want to fight.
But the goal is August, around August, and maybe one more time at the end of the year. So maybe it would work out nicely. The massive super fight, Jon Jones in August. And then if all goes well, of course, then you fight Derek Lewis in December. Atop that wish list, where is Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua? Is this something that you really want? Because I know you've talked about it.
Yeah, he's in the future. He's somewhere. Oh, definitely. I'm going to box. I mean, if that's a question, I have to box before in my career.
You have to.
I have to.
Why do you have to?
Because this is my main dream. You know, my main dream has always been a noble art. And even if at some point I deviate and get into MMA, which I love, but I still have to fulfill something boxing.
And you don't want, because, you know, we found out on Tuesday, Anderson Silva is going to box. He's going to box Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. I'm assuming you're saying you don't want to box past your prime when you're older, when you're in your mid 40s. You would like to box when you're the heavyweight champion, right? Like a super fight, right? Like you versus the boxing heavyweight champion.
When you say like mid 40s, you're talking about like a decade from now? What are you talking about? Because I'm just 34 years old.
Right.
And in this sport, 3 years is a lot of time. You know, 3 years is a lot of time. Everything can happen within 3 years. Example, just see what's happened in the past 3 years in my career. You know, so I have a lot of time, a ton of time before talking about the mid-40s. I don't think in my mid-40s I'll be fighting. I think like by 40, I will be retired.
Oh, really? So only 6 years left?
6 years is a lot of time.
But you're just scratching the surface.
Listen, let's see how it goes. Let's see how things goes. But I know I have that time, and I have a lot of dream. You know, I'm just here, like, want to enjoy life and process, and I have some dream. You know, I really think I always lately I've been thinking about it, and I think like 40 is perfect. After 40, I retire, set up my family, get maybe even go back to school, learn something, because this is something that I always have as well. Like I always have a regret that I couldn't afford a decent education. Maybe I'll go to school just to have some degree and go out there do my business. You know, at 40, my life is just about to start as a businessman. You know, I'm still young. Everything is so. Yeah, let's live in the dream.
And speaking of the dreams, could I just ask, what about fighting in Africa? I mean, come on, it would be you, Kamaru, Israel. This has to happen, right?
This must happen. You know, and we are thinking about it right now. It has to happen. The UFC has to figure out. As of right now, there will be, you know, listen, you have a roster of over 500, if it's not over 600, of male fighter, divided in 7 division. In the 7 division, in that roster, you have barely 20 African fighter.
Mm-hmm.
That 20 African fighter will represent, I don't know how many percent, very minuscule. They have 3 division. In 3 division, they are champion. Mostly the biggest division, the most entertaining division, which is heavyweight, not light heavyweight, but middleweight and welterweight. There is something behind that, you know. That's a message. You have to understand that it might just be the perfect place for the fighting. It might just be the land of the fighting. Just take a step, take a look, give an opportunity, and see how it plays out. And as street champ, I think we deserve at least one open event to honor us, you know, wherever is it in Africa, whether it's in Nigeria or in Cameroon. We have to have an event in Africa just to honor, to pay some respect to those champ and to Africa and for the champion then that he has given.
What a great scene that would be. I would love to see it. I'm sure you guys would love it as well. Last thing for you, Francis, and thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it. If I look at you right now, I see the belt behind you. I see the big smile. You're living the dream, right? And sometimes we forget about the journey and everything you've been through. And I don't need to go over all of that, but I'm sure there's a kid, a young man who doesn't have a lot to his name that might be in Africa right now, might be somewhere in Europe, who is trying to become the next Francis Ngannou. But
there are a ton of them.
But he has nothing, right? And he's down and he feels like he'll never go anywhere and he'll never make it to Las Vegas. He'll never make it to the arenas. What do you say to that young man right now who wants to be you and end up where you're at?
Well, just to persevere, just to believe in himself, to believe in his dream. Yeah, you might never get in Las Vegas. Yes, you might never get in the UFC. It's okay. As long as you try your best, I think that's what matters. I remember like when I started this in Cameroon, they treated me as I was losing my mind. Like I was crazy. Like, what the fuck is that? You're talking about boxing. And I was just talking about boxing, which is a classic sport, which is an Olympic sport, not even an MMA. And he was all crazy. I'm like, have you ever seen somebody coming from here and get there? Basically, a guy like you from the village who doesn't have any support and anything. Look at those guys. They'll give you some example of people who has even represent Cameroon to the Olympic game and all these things. And then I'm like, look at Eton. He ended up like they didn't do well, even though they have like way more chance like you. Like just forget about it, keep doing your stuff, keep doing your motor taxi or keep carrying your loading trucks and stuff. I'm like, man, I wasn't born for this. This is just like surviving. I just believe in it. And honestly, I always think about it like, okay, they are no wrong. This is a fact. They are laying down a fact. Nobody has done it. But listen, I'm there and fair. But if I don't try, what I do know for sure is I'm gonna beat myself up forever. So at least I try. I try hard. I give my best. And if it doesn't work, I'll be in peace with myself. That was the mindset going into it. It was all about to give myself a time to persevere, to go hard, to try hard and get there. And even when I get in France, I could have there was giving me like trying to give me some small job that you can do to get some money with somebody paper, because I didn't have paper at that time. And I'm like, okay, you might do that, but if you get into that system, how long are you going to be there? 5 years, you're going to be doing the same thing. And what about your dream? I give myself a few years. I tried. I give it all. If it doesn't work, well, guess what? I had tried. So that was the mindset going to that. So I think the most important when you have a dream, when you have something going on, is to try hard. If I today, I think I succeed in my life, but succeed in my life is not, I don't think I'm succeed because I'm a UFC champion or because I have a house or because I have a car. My perception of success is like because I never give up. I never let anything take my dream out of me, and that's the thing that I'm more happy about. That's my own success. The thing that I'm proud about. Yeah, that's something that you can lose everything. You can lose money, you can lose house, you can lose everything that you get. You can lose the UFC belt. You can, but you can not. Nobody can take that from you. Like self-believing, it's yours. It's the only thing that you get, and will last forever.
That is amazing. I'm so happy for you. I've been covering this sport a long time now. This is one of the best stories that I've ever come across. From what you've been through, my friend, homeless in France. There needs to be a Francis Ngannou story, like a movie. Someone is working on this, I would imagine, right? The Francis Ngannou movie, the life story, because what you have, the odds that you have overcome to get there. And I know, and I love that you say the belt doesn't define you, and it doesn't mean that you are successful just because you have the belt. But my friend, you have overcome so much to get to this point. It's truly remarkable. So I hope there's a movie, and I hope you get really a ton of money off of this movie, because you deserve it.
The movie, there is a work behind the scene on it. My manager, Martin Markel, he's been working in a lot of stuff. But the most interesting thing for me right now, I always have this dream. I always have this title for a book that I think is a perfect time to put some work into it. Born Slave, Become King. I have this title with me for like 10 years, and I think it's a time to to finish that book. And
Don't Sleep, Become King?
Born Slave.
Oh, Born Slave.
Become King.
Wow. Don't Slave, Become King.
I'm the king now, man.
Hey, you are the king. You were thinking about this 10 years ago, though?
Yeah.
You knew the book was going to be written.
I mean, I knew what?
You knew, like 10 years ago, you were nowhere near being a king.
Yeah, but I believed it. 20 years ago, I was nowhere near to all of this, but I always believed it.
Amazing. I can't wait to read it. I look forward to it. Francis, you've given me enough of your time. Thank you so much. Again, félicitations. Le Prédateur, the baddest man on the planet. I can't wait to see how the rest of the story plays out. You've got some big moments, some bigger fights, some more money, bigger spotlight, all that stuff and more. But I'm happy to see your smile, because I remember just last year how upset you were, how frustrated you were. You weren't getting your shot, and it didn't seem fair. So I'm really happy to see this all worked out for you, my friend. Enjoy the title, enjoy everything that comes with it. And thank you as always for the time. I really appreciate it.
Time is the best asset to overcome everything. With time, everything comes together.
Amen. Thank you, Francis.
Thank you, Ariel. I appreciate you giving me time, and always a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.